I have $500 to invest. What should I do with it?
I think we talked about this a little bit last week. That really, if you have $500 to invest, I'm just going to go ahead and assume you already have your savings account set up with an emergency fund.
Assume I have, I'm in a stable spot where I know what I'm making.
You got relatively low debt.
Handle spot. So now I'm guaranteed I have this amount $500 to actually start.
Well, so there's multiple things here. Do you have a 401k with a company match? It's free money.
That's true. Yeah.
Probably take it. Are you making, below the threshold to where you can still contribute to a Roth IRA? Tax-free income later in retirement. It's very important. So, for me personally, I'm just going to assume I've already got the 401k match. I'm going to jump into the Roth.
Okay.
I would jump into a Roth. I like things like Robinhood. I've used them all. Fidelity, Charles Schwab, Vanguard. I've used all of the E-Trade.
Yeah.
I love them. They're great. Robinhood is the easiest. I don't know why. I just like it. I
think the big thing with Robinhood is it has the mobile use friendly, right?
Yeah.
They made it so anyone can just pick up their phone and use it. And it's very beneficial to run that, right? It's super easy. It's very manageable.
Yeah.
They recently just changed the rules of day trading to allow people to trade more now. Yeah. Well, is that going to be beneficial? Maybe.
I think it is if you have your little fun accounts. Like I have an account with Robinhood that I use for fun. It's not something where I'm trying to get rich. It's not something where I'm trying to count on it for my retirement. I'm just having fun and buying and trading stuff that, I've, educated myself on. It would not be my, be all or end all be all kit, but it's just, my little fun account. So I do like Robinhood a lot. That's my main place I like to throw money like that.
Yeah.
Brokerage account, things like that.
And there's a lot of options you can use for it. Like Fidelity is another big one, like you said. I think a lot of people are familiar with Fidelity purely because majority of company 401ks run through that.
Yeah.
Like when I worked for Spectrum, that was the number one thing we always used for it. They also has had good investment funds or good investment ways, right? So they didn't charge you to do half the things you're doing. You can move cash easy with them. You can move accounts. Same thing with Charles Schwab, which I currently personally use now. They have their setup where everything's interlinked with each other. It's very easy to move things around, handle. Yeah. They also give you crazy insight, and sometimes I think it's a little too much they give you. Mm-hmm. Like, to be able to see way too much into the stock markets. It's like if you know more, you can get more out of it.
Yeah. It's fun. Like investing is actually a lot of fun if you learn the basics of it. And it's not hard. Most all of these websites are, they have the educational material on there for you to learn like how to do it in a safe way. Now, listen, there's no guarantee that you're going to go out there and make a ton of money. But over time,
it grows.
It grows. The compounding interest is huge, and people don't realize that. You think it's just $100.
Yeah.
But then you do $100 a month, and that's $1,200 a year. And after 5 years, with that compounding interest, it looks completely different. And you're like, oh my gosh, like I have a sizable amount of money in here, but I would not have had unless I did this.
So what age would you say you should open a Roth account? Because a lot of people think that's like something's like a later time period, right? Some say it's earlier.
Literally the day you turn 18.
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah.
I was doing little odd jobs when I was 18. I was cleaning people's cars. I was mowing lawns. I was doing all the stuff. I got a job at a golf course. I worked in college and during the summers because why not?
Yeah.
Like I wanted to. Like I didn't need to. I feel like a lot of people probably need to. But I was in a place where I was very thankful that my parents supported me through college, and not everybody gets that, but I was really thankful for it. And I want to do the same for my kids, but I still chose to work. I wanted to have a job. I wanted to make some, income for myself. And one of my biggest regrets was not taking every penny of that and throwing it into the market,
So would you say if somebody has like let's say a 401 or a traditional IRA, would it be beneficial for them to take some of that money, take the hit for pulling it out to put it into a Roth, because there is that tax that's going to be paid on it, right?
It's called Roth conversions. You can do those. They're awesome. We use them all the time at our firm. We use them all the time for people, but it depends on, what your tax situation looks at. We don't want to bump you into a new bracket by, pulling that money out.
Yeah.
So you have to think about those things. So we just want to keep you in the same bracket. If you're in the 15% or whatever it is, like we do a lot of conversions.
You don't want to be paying more if you don't need to.
And it's cool because once you've gotten out of the income threshold of which you can contribute to a Roth, you can still do conversions. So I think about my friend Max, who's a doctor now, and he's in a position now where he makes far too much to contribute to a Roth, but he can still do those Roth conversions, which is what he's going to do.
Okay.
He's going to pay that tax hit, which, arguably taxes will go up at some point. We've seen them as high as like 94% in this country. It was a fluke for 1 year, but there was like a 10-year history where taxes were well over 78%. And to think that they couldn't go that high again is crazy, because we were not in $38 trillion worth of debt back in World War II when taxes, I think it was World War II, wasn't it? Maybe, I don't know, when taxes were that high. And I think about that because taxes are going to go up at some point. I don't know when, but they are going to go up. They have to. So I'd rather pay the hit now for, a little bit less money than wait and they go up.
And I believe with Trump's administration, they've implemented some fun policies and some good things. I believe this year they're doing like a tax credit or next couple of years to be able to cover some of that for overage. I think I heard your dad talk about that a few times.
I'm not sure. I haven't kept up with all that. I need to. There's new stuff happening. There's
a tax credit that basically, if you're over the age, I think it's 50, and I could be wrong, be 55. You have to just double check it, dude. Look it up. But if you do a Roth conversion at that point, there is a tax credit because you're over that age that will basically cover the cost of what you would be losing in taxes and all that. Right?
I'll have to look into that.
So it's an easy way you can convert some of your money.
Into that. And the administration has done some cool stuff. Not to get political, but you have the Trump accounts and stuff. And those are really cool. Kids born from, I think, January 31st, 2025 until December something, 2028. Don't quote me on that. But you can open a Trump account and the government will put some money in there for your kids, and you're able to contribute a certain amount of money each year. And it looks really good for newborn babies when you put that money away for them.
It grows later, and it builds up. Yep.
It's setting them up for an awesome future. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that thing you can set yourself up in that same spot, which is using your tax brokerage accounts, right? So creating these accounts, opening them, and just putting the money in. And the biggest thing is when you put money into it, your dad says, I think he says it all this time, is don't let time affect you, right? You need time in the market.
Yeah, time in the market's huge.
Make it so they grow. There will be ups and downs.
That's why, I tell people, like, for me, it's Robinhood. Like, I like it. I like being able to just do it from my phone whenever I want. It's just easy. My phone is always on me. So just find that number. Is it $5 a month? Is it 10? Is it 25? Find that one thing you can cut, set it up on an auto pay, let it draft money out of your account each month, each week.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have it, do it every day. A couple dollars a day. If you got $5, are you like me and you have to have that coffee every single morning? Make it at home.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think there's
easy one. Invest that money.
Coffee, breakfast things, right? There's so many different ways you can save money to help you invest more.
Yeah.
That I think people are just overlooking. Like I said, the Netflix stuff, right? I bet you there's so many people out there that have either a Netflix or a Disney or any of these subscriptions that never use it. And it just sits there and pulls out of their account every time.
So many.
And it's like you can take that $10, $15 that you're spending on that and put it into another account, into like Robinhood.
You're a hockey fan, so you know this. Like, unfortunately, our games are almost always blackout games. So you can't watch them on the ESPN app or with the NHL Pass or whatever it is. You have to have FanDuel. And it's like, I think about it, I'm like, dude, that's like $300 a year.
Yeah.
That I'm spending between those two things.
It's annoying, especially for any sports games, right? Like soccer was huge on it. Dylan, one of our coworkers here, is massive into all his sports, and apparently, like the soccer league had like 4 different streaming services for the one league.
Yeah,
and it's like you have to have all 4 to watch the games, and that's
and it's like too, like there's credit cards out there. Like I use my American Express every day, and like part of the benefits of having that card are it has a digital subscription. What do you call it? Benefit.
Oh, okay,
and it pays like $300 something a year.
Yeah.
For digital subscriptions, you just have to make sure you have those things set up. Like, look at the credit cards you have. There might be some benefits on there. I have one for Uber Eats. I get $15 a month.
Just make sure you pay them off as you're paying it through it, right?
You have to, but most people have credit cards and don't even know why they got that specific card. There's a million credit cards.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And most people don't know why they got it. And there's some, cool little things in like, American Express, you can convert your points into a brokerage account. A lot of people don't know that.
And it's one of those like those cards too. So it's like they have the subscriptions, but you have to pay it through that card. Just make sure you remember that you're doing that. Yeah. Because like sometimes those add up.
I've got a card that it was like my first credit card. It was some old Capital One card. And I can't even remember the benefit that it has on it. I think it's a digital subscription thing, but I literally do not use that card anymore. I have it set up on auto pay, so it pays the balance on it each month without me even looking. But the only thing that's on it is like one single subscription, just to keep the account open. That's the only reason. So